All right, we're holding in the middle of Daf Samuch Daf Samuch Omen. I'm sorry, right now Daf Samuch. All right, hold on a second. I say, yeah, okay. We're on Samach Aleph Amud Aleph in the English edition 61A2. Samach Aleph Amud Aleph, halfway through the page. So we're going to be dealing with really one question, and to show them a couple of answers that the Gemara is going to bring. All right, so we're middle of the sin of Avodah Zarah, that if a person does Avodah Zarah, he gets skila for. So starts the Gemara, a story. Well, it's really not a story; it's a question, but it starts off as a story. Rav Hamnuna, Erkasule Torah. Rav Hamnuna, he lost his oxen. All right, and now remember, oxen are like cars of today. They did transportation. They did work in the field. They were important and they were costly. So he lost them. So he started going to search for them. Rabba. And as he's searching for them, Rabba meets him. And Rabba now asks him a question. The Gemara is going to tell us that he answers the question. So what's the whole point to tell us that he was looking for his oxen? So the Mefarshim will explain, like Yad Ramah and others, is that imagine your car went missing, right? And you're going to search for it, and somebody asks you, right? You got a big part of money that went missing, and someone asks you a question in halacha. What would someone do? Oh, don't ask me right now. I have to go look for my oxen. Don't ask me right now. I have to go look for my cars. I'm busy looking for my money. It disappeared. I have to go. Not Rav Hamnuna. He was so into learning Torah that even while he was looking for his oxen, he was able to stop and answer a question because to him that was greater than his oxen. So let's take a look at the question. Rabbi asked him from two Mishnayot. Really, it's one long Mishnah. The Gemara breaks it up in two Mishnayot. And we have a Mishnah that we just learned last week. And we have the Mishnah that we're going to learn later on Daf Samach Zayin. Okay, which also talks about Avodah Zarah. So what's the question? As follows. Tanan, in our Mishnah that we learned last week, it says, if you serve an idol, that means if you serve an idol, you get skila. If you say you're going to serve an idol, then you don't get skila, right? The implication. If you serve an Avodah Zarah, you get skila. If you say you're going to serve an Avodah Zarah, then you don't get skila. Oved ain't. If you serve it, yes. Omer light. But if you just say you're going to serve it, you're not going to get skila. But is that really true? We could take a look at the next Mishnah on Daf Samech Zayin, but we learned in that Mishnah, Ha'omer, if he says, E'evod, I'm going to serve it. Eilich ve'evod, I'm going to go and serve it. Neilech ve'na'avod, we are going to go and serve it. He's chayav skila. So what happens? You have one Mishnah that implies only serving it will get you skila, but saying you're going to serve it will not get you skila. And you have another Mishnah that says beferush that if you say you're going to serve it, you're going to get skila. That was the question that Rabba asked Rav Hamnuna. So now Rav Hamnuna, who's looking for his oxen, mind you, stops to answer the question. Amr he says to him, it says Rav Hamnuna, the truth is that a person who says, I'm going to serve him by the Zara does get skila. But our Mishnah that you read that says ha'oved, you serve, and not only if you say, that's talking about a particular case. That if the guy says, I'm only accepting this avodah zarah once I serve him, but I'm not accepting him as an avodah zarah until I serve him, so then he's not hayav mitah because he didn't accept that avodah zarah. But if he says, I accept this avodah zarah, or I'm going to serve this avodah zarah, or we should go, then he's already accepting it. Here he's saying, I'm not accepting it until I serve it. So therefore, he needs to have served it in order to get skila, because he says, I'm not going to accept it until then. And that's the difference. That's why one requires avodah and one doesn't. The truth is, just saying it is enough to get you to get a person skila. And that was the answer that Rabbi Hunana gave. So now comes Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef, Aimer, Tane, Shakalti mi alma. Why does Rabbi Hunana? Why does he throw out all the Tanoim that he comes up with his own answer? This Mishnayot is actually a machloket Tanoim. They're two different Tanoic opinions. And that's why the Mishnah has two different outcomes, because they're two different rabbis of the Mishnah period. Right? Where Tanoi, it's machlokas Tanoim. The Tanya, if it was told in the Braita, Ha'omer Rabbi Meir, Ha'omer, Ba'u ve'ivduni. Okay, so this guy got a lot of problems. He thinks he's a god. So he tells people, Ba'u ve'ivduni, come and serve me. Right? So he is saying, this is the guy. He's saying, I'm a god, and you have to serve me. You have to worship me. So now this guy who's saying it, he's just saying he's a god. Is that enough to get him skila? So Meir Mechayev. Meir says he gets skila. Rabbi Yehuda poiter. Yehuda says he doesn't. In a case where someone actually bows down to him, then everyone agrees we kill him. If he says I'm a god, and then someone bows down to him, everyone agrees. Because it says Lo taseh lecha pesel. Don't make for yourself an avodah zarah. But reading Lo taseh lecha, don't make you pesel. Don't make yourself an avodah zarah. Don't make you yourself to be an avodah zarah. So keep pligi. What's the machlokes? B'dibura be'alma is where the guy just said, "I am God." Right? Bow down to me, but no one actually bowed down to him, and all he said was, "I am God." That's the question. So Meir Savar, Rameir says, Dibura miltahi. When you say you're going to do something, that is substantial, and therefore you're held liable. And therefore, since he said, I'm a god, that's words, and words are substantial, and therefore he has to get killed. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Dibura lav miltahi. Rabbi Yehuda holds, no. Who holds that just speech is not substantial enough, and therefore we don't kill him because no one bowed down to him, and he just said, "I'm a god." We don't kill him. So this would explain the Mishnayot. According to the Mishnah that says you have to actually serve, that's because he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds that what words aren't enough, and therefore you have to actually serve it. But according to Rabbi Meir, words are enough. So therefore, the Mishnah that says let's go serve by the Zar Chayav Mitah, that's the Mishnah according to Rabbi Meir. So according to Rabbi Yosef, he wants to learn the Mishnayot as being two different Tanoim. You have the Mishnah that says you have to actually do the service. That's Rabbi Yehuda, who says words aren't enough. And the Mishnah that says that if you just say I want to serve with the Zara, that's already enough to get skila. That is Rabbi Meir. Okay, so very nice answer. However, Rabbi Yosef, a Gaon, a tzaddik who he is, we have a lot to learn from him. He goes back to check if it actually makes sense. And he realizes that it doesn't make sense. So he comes back and he says, I was wrong. Hada Amar Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi says, I gave a very nice explanation. One Tana holds that words are substantial. One holds that it's not. And that explains the two Mishnayot. He says, Lav miltahi da'amre. What I said was not true. What I said is incorrect. Why? Because now I see that Yehuda, because even according to Yehuda, you can become mechuyav by just speaking. The Tanya, because it says Rabbi Yehuda Omer leolam eno hayav ad sheyomer evod elech ve'evod elech ve'na'avod. So Rabbi Yehuda, you're always trying to say Rabbi Yehuda holds the words are nothing. Rabbi Yehuda himself is the one who said if someone says he's going to go serve as Azar, you kill him. So it cannot be that he holds that words are nothing. So our two Mishnayot cannot be in Machloket Tanaim. But now, how do you deal with a case? How do you deal with the case that we brought about the guy who says, "I'm a god"? And Rabbi Yehuda said you don't kill him, and Rabbi Meir said you do. It's just words. Where says fligi. Now, what's the actual issue here? B'mesit la'atzmo v'amra le ein fligi. Oh, it's a whole different question here. The question is not the fact that he just said it. The question is those people that he's talking to saying that he's God, and now they say yes. Okay. Do they actually mean that he's a god and they accepted him as an avodah zarah and that's why he has to be killed? Or when they say yes, it's not. Let's take a look. My savar mesid atzmo shemoile. If someone makes himself a god, people will listen to him, right? By the way, right? This is Rameir's opinion, but if we think about it in history context, unfortunately, this is a very true thing. Just go back to the times of the 60s. You had cult leaders, or you had a lot of cults. You had cult leaders that told everybody to take a poison and drop dead at the same time. And they all did it, right? Because someone says, I'm a god, listen to me, I'm a prophet. Some people are wanting to listen. So the and when they say yes, they mean it. And therefore, he's believed to be a god, and he instigated them, so therefore he gets killed. Umar Sav and other holds, Mesit la'atzmo lo shemayele. When one says, I'm a god, right? Most rational people don't listen to him. Mime Amre, for they say, a very important yisod over here. Big Mr. Haskell. Mashena ihu minan didan. What's the difference between him and us? Why is he so special and he's a god and I'm not? Right? And when they said yes, they were just joking with him. See, first of all, most rational people who do the thing would not believe this guy. So therefore, he's not considered an instigator. He's not made into a god, and therefore he's not killed. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, says the Rambam. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and unless he was actually served as a god, he doesn't get killed. Because people say yes, they're just playing around with him. Now, or what I see in this line of my shena ihu minan didan. What's the difference in him and ourselves? We have to use this line in life sometimes. Sometimes we see, for example, let's give an example. I'll give an example for my own life. Remember when I was starting off my career as a nurse, it was difficult at the start. It was hard to put the pieces together. It was, a new environment, a new everything. It was difficult. And at one point, I remember I was like, should I continue? Should I not do it? And then I said to myself, how can there be so many other people that are doing it and I can't do it? My done. What's in them and me? If anything, I'm better. Of course I should be able to do it. So it gave me that push. Now, this could also be used in other contexts, right? Somebody sees somebody learning Torah more hours than him or knows halacha better than him. He shouldn't say, oh, no, that guy's special and he can do it. And no. He should be saying, Mashna didan. What's between him and me? He's sitting and learning. I can also sit and learn. I can also put my mind to it. All right? So big Mr. Haskell in that line in the Gemara. Okay. So now we explain that machloket Rameir Yehuda by a guy who says that he is God. So whether the yes was real or no, that would depend if he's considered an instigator or not, if he would have to kill him with skila or not. But what about the two Mishnayot? According to the Yosef, he wanted to explain it to Rameir Yehuda two different Tanaim. So how does he now explain the two Mishnayot? It says, the difference is in the Mishnah that says, here in the Mishnah, the whole person liable for saying, I will serve Beyachid Hanisat. We're dealing with where an individual was instigated, when he was talking to one person. Kan, our Mishnah says that he's not Hayab for saying, I will serve Birabim Hinisatim. It's when one person was trying to convince a group of people to serve Avodah Zarah. Why? If the instigator is instigating one person, then he's Chayav Mitah. But if an instigator is instigating a whole public, he's not Chayav Mitah. Why? Because Yachid lo mimilach. Because an individual, when he agrees to worship idols, he will not reconsider, meaning he's one-on-one, and he's trusting that guy, he's listening to that guy, and therefore he's not going to go back on his word, v'tai batre, and he will go after the instigator, and he'll serve with the zara. Therefore, he's chayav mitah if he says, "I will go," because he's going to do it actually. Rabim mimlachi. But if you tell a rabbim, you tell a group of people, go serve with the zara, they will not go because there's so many of them. Each one of them will question, ask, they'll talk, they'll not do it. There's room for individual thinkers to prove that it's false and not to end up actually doing it. Where do I come to this understanding that there's a difference between instigating an individual and instigating a public? It says, Lo tovelo, v'lo tishma alav. You should not accede to him and you should not hearken to him. Right? Don't come to him and don't listen to him. Right? This implies ha'av mishama hayav. If one listened and went, then he is liable. The pasuk says lo toveh v'lo tishma elav. Seems to be a lashon yachid. That he gets instigated, then he says yes, he's chayav mitah. But if you tell a rabbim, no, because the pasuk is talking about an individual. So Rabbi Yosef's now understanding of the machloket between the Mishnayot is that one case that says he's liable for saying evod, elich ve'evod, nelich ve'navod, that's in the case where it is an individual, because he's going to stick to it. But if it's a rabbim, then that's our first Mishnah that says Oved have to actually do it, because he's not. If there's a rabbim, they're not going to end up doing it. Okay. Now Abaye is going to ask on this question, this new understanding of Yosef, machloket in the Mishnayot. Abaye is going to ask him. Itev Abaye, ma shani ben nisat derabim le nisat yachid. Why all of a sudden are we making a distinction between instigating an individual and instigating a public? Why? Tanya was taught in a bright if your brother, the son of your mother, shall instigate you. This means if your brother instigates you, whether for an individual or whether for a group. And the Torah itself took out the Yachid from the Rabbim, took out the individual from the group. And took out the group from the individual. Where we see individual case comes out of the group case. If one person gets instigated and serves it with a zarah, then you just kill him with stoning and you don't touch his property. But if a group of Jews, like Ir Hanidachat, if they serve with the Zara, then we kill them by the sword, which is less of a punishment than killing with stoning. But then you have to destroy their property. Then you have to destroy their property. That's the difference in Rabbim and Yachid when it comes to instigating. This is the only places where they're different. But with everything else, they're exactly the same, including being instigated. The only difference in them is how you kill them and their punishment. But even the instigation should be the same. Shouldn't be a difference if you instigate a yachid or you instigate a rabbim. So Rabbi Yosef's opinion twice already has been shot down. Say Elamar Abaya. Abaya gives a different answer. What's the difference in the two Mishnayot? Kan b'nisit mipi atzmo. We're dealing with one self-instigated. Kan b'nisat mipi acherim. So the two Mishnayot, one that says you have to actually, if you say you get skila, another one says you have to do something to get skila. It depends what the case. B'nisat mipi atzmo. or whether others are telling you or you're doing it on your own. One who self-instigated himself, he's going to come to reconsider it. Because he's an individual and he thought about doing avodah zarah, he can think about not doing it. But if others are telling him to do avodah zarah, then he's not going to stop. He won't stop. He will actually do it, and therefore he's going to be liable. So the Mishnah that says he has to actually do it, that's talking about if a person self-influenced himself to do avodah zarah, can't get punished till he actually does it. But the one that said if he just says I'm going to do it, he gets punished. That's the case. That's the case of a rabbin, because once the rabbin says they're going to do something, then he's drawn with them and he does it at the same time. So a little different than the last time around when we talked about the rabbin. But again, another important musar here, that a person has to be an individual thinker, right? A lot of times what happens is we allow other people to do the thinking for us, right? The government likes for us to all think the same, right? That's why they have all these television and channels and commercials, right? You have a Coca-Cola that everybody knows is very bad for you, but they have a commercial with a very attractive person drinking it, and they're very skinny, and therefore now everybody's under the same impression with the same message, and that Coca-Cola is good because they advertise it that way, right? But here we're saying that yeah, if you get the same message, the rabbim, everybody thinks this Avodah Zarah is real, and you're with them, then you're going to actually end up doing it. But a yachid, if he self-influenced himself, then he can self-influence himself out. Sometimes you have to be what we'll call an individual thinker. Just because everybody's doing something doesn't mean you have to do it also. Right? Remember when my parents were trying to teach us this when we were kids, they would give the example. Everyone's jumping off the building. Doesn't mean you have to jump off also. Right? You have to think for yourself. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Right? And that's what we're saying over here. Another Musar Haskell. Now, Amr Bhai, how do I know to make this distinction? Whether the guy self-influenced himself to do Avodah Zarah, or whether a group influenced to do Avodah Zarah? Mana aminullah. Where do I get this from? Because it says, Lo tovelo velo tishma alam. You should not accede to him, and you should not hearken to him. Ha'av avat b'shema haya. So it says, don't listen to the other guy, right? Don't listen to the other guy, and you get chayas kila if you do. Oh, so it must be that it's another guy there. It's a beam, the group. But if you listen to yourself and you say, I'm going to do Avodah Zarah, then you're not chayav mitah. The only time you're chayav mitah is if the other guy told you. Okay, that's what I understand here. Now, Rava is going to give us another understanding of how to explain these two Mishnayot. Rava Amar, Idi ve'idi benistam epi acherim. Truth is, both of the cases is when others convinced him to do Avodah Zarah. But one he gets if he says I'm going to do it, he's going to get skila, and one he's not going to get if he says he's going to go serve it. Why? It depends how he was introduced to this Avodah Zarah. If the other guy who told him to do Avodah Zarah tell him this Avodah Zarah, eats like this, drinks like this, and if you do that, you're going to get parnasah, refu'ah, all these different things, and then he does it. So then, just by saying it, he's going to get skila because he believes in it already. But if they just told him go to the Avodah Zarah and serve it, he doesn't readily accept it because he doesn't know of the benefits. You haven't told him about the benefits. So it depends if he knows the benefits, the supposed benefits of Avodah Zarah or not. That's the way Rava wants to make the mechlok, the difference in the shitot. Amarava mana amina. Rava says, how do I know this pshat? Where would I get with this pshat? Because it says and the pasuk continues. You look into Shalom Gimel. Whether they're close idols or far idols. So it says the Gemara. Why does the pasuk have to say close or far idols? Why? Ata lamad mativotan sherechokim. Ah, you know why it says in the pasuk, far away gods and closer gods? Because everybody who has Avodah Zarah realizes that the ones next to him are worthless, right? Because they're not helping him out. So he's looking for the next best Avodah Zarah. So he hears about those far away, right? You have these people, they backpack throughout India, they backpack throughout here, they're trying to find spirituality and everything. And right, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, in his Sefer, Common in Conversation, he writes in this past week's parasha where it's a story, a joke story, type of joke, but he writes it and has truth to it. That there was this Jewish girl, older woman. She travels all the way to India and she ends up in one of these monasteries where all these guys are serving like this guru, and she's making her way to the front and she's telling everybody it's very important. I have to go to the front, so they let her reach the monk, the guru that they've all been following. She walks up to him and she says to him, "Shlomo, stop with this nonsense. Your mother needs you at home, right? Jews end up all over the world looking for different things. They're looking for spirituality. That's why it says, "Chokim krovim." You see these close up that are garbage. Well, guess what? The ones far away are also garbage. That's what the pasuk is teaching us. But what is it telling us there? That people sell it by the idea, by telling them how it drinks, how it eats, how it serves, how it benefits. So my lab, the amr lay. So that's what the Mishnah means. If you tell them this is what it does, this is what it gives, and then you go and then you say you're going to do it, then you're chayas kilah. But if he doesn't tell you what it's all about, and you say you're going to go serve it, then you're not chayas kilash. Mamina. Learn from there. Rav Ashi Omar. Rashi says, I'll tell you how to explain the Mishnah. Sefer, the later part of the Mishnah, the part of the Mishnah that says, if he says, let's go serve with the Zara, he gets killed. This is, just by saying it, this is Israel Mumar. This is if it's a Mumar, someone who renegades against the Torah. So since he's a Mumar anyway, so if he says that I'm going to serve with the Zara, we believe him, and therefore we kill him. But if a regular Jew says I'm going to go serve with the Zara, then we don't believe him, and therefore we don't kill him. Ravina says, another answer to the Mishnah, and this is, in my opinion, the most simplest of answers. Lo zu af zukitani. Right? The Mishnah is in the style of not only this, but also that. Meaning it says if a person started with the Zara, he gets killed. But then it means not only that, but even if he just says, I'm going to serve with the Zara, he's going to be Hayav Mita. Okay, quickly, the two halachot that the Rambam brings down on today's Gemara is as follows. I'll read to you the halacha. One who says, "Come and worship me." If one incites others to come and worship him as a god, and they worship him, he is executed by stoning in accordance with the standard of halacha of an inciter. If they do not worship him, even if they agree verbally to worship him, he's not executed. In the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, they're saying yes. I mean, we're just playing around with his nonsense, with his delusions, but not necessarily believing it. If one approved and listened, he is liable. What does this mean? If one incited another to worship an idol, and the incited party accepted his suggestion, saying, "Yes, let us go and worship the idol," they are both executed by stoning, even if the individual who was incited did not yet worship the idol, in accordance with the Braita quoted by Rabbi Yosef, that what? If a person tries to get the other guy to do Avodah Zarah, and he says, yes, let's go do it and establish the Avodah Zarah, right? He says, let's go do it. Then both of them are chayav nita. And that is the halachot that comes out from this week's Gemara. I know it's a little bit shorter because we had a little bit of Rosh Hashanah and we're doing a little bit of other stuff on Shabbat. Whether next week we're going to have shiur or not, I'm not sure yet, honestly. I'll let you know by next week. Actually, no, we're not going to have shiur because
Moed.
right, Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, right? So no shiur on Sunday. So I'm not going to have a shiur on Shabbat either. I'm going to do Rosh Hashanah stuff. So we'll catch up probably Shabbat Shuvah. Sunday is Erev Yom Kippur. So probably not going to have shiur there. So probably not going to have shiur until Sukkot time. or after Sukkot. We'll see.
So let me clarify this final halacha. If a person thinks of idol worshiping, he's Hayam Mitar or no?
No, nowhere to say about thinking. Maybe he's chayav mitzvah b'dei shemayim, but not b'dei beitin. No.
Oh, I believe, okay. So not thinking about it also is not all right.
Right. No, it's a bad thought. You should definitely not think about it, but you can't be chayav mitzvah for a thought from beitin.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Very good discussion about what to avoid. Everyone should have a happy Rosh Hashanah, Be'ez Hashem, and we'll be in touch from there when we'll have the next year.
Thank you. Have a good new year. Shana Tova Mutaka.
Amen. Thank you.
Shefa. Ben Zachar Bezrat
Amen.
Hashem.
Amen. Thank
Don't
you so
forget
much.
to invite me to your Brit.
My
Don't
Brit?
forget.
I already had my Brit.
your Brit meaning when you're gonna do one.
Amen.
Obligation. Don't
Thank
forget.
you very much. Hatzlacha u'bracha l'kulam. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.